Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Knife Chats with Tobias. I have a traveling knife review to do for you. I think this is actually the second time I'm doing one of these. I believe these were started by Knife Delights. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe that's where they started, or it might have been J.O. Ventures. This particular knife, I actually saw someone else doing it as a traveling knife review. And it was a knife that I've always thought about buying, but never bought it. And so I said, you know what, I wouldn't mind taking a look at that knife and reviewing it. And that's the really cool thing about the traveling knife review. So I might do this a little more often because it's a great way for you, the viewer, to see. If you follow the particular knife, you're going to see it reviewed by several different people. And so you'll get different opinions of the knife. And for me, it's a great money-saving way because I really probably would have never bought this knife if it wasn't for the fact that, well, I'm still not sure if I'm ever going to buy the knife, but I know it would have never shown up on my channel had it not been for the traveling knife review. And this is a knife that a lot of people have looked at and really do like. This is the Kershaw Culpepper. I added the string. It's just a cheap piece of yellow leather strapping. I did it for one reason, and I'll get to that in a minute. However, J.O. Ventures, when he reviewed it, he added this along with it. This is a leather slip that he made for it, and then he dyed the leather red to match the knife. Let's see, it goes in there nice and well. My problem with it is it's a little too long of a slip for it. Most people would say it's a perfect length, but for me, it gets in there, and it was hard for me and my arthritic hands to pull it out. But fortunately, the Culpepper has a lanyard hole, so I put a string in the bottom of it just so I could pull it out. And I will pass it on with that. A lot of people end up doing that when they're doing these reviews. That's something that happens with these traveling knives. As they move along, they're, you know how they say a rolling stone gathers no moss. Well, a traveling knife gathers a whole lot of swag as it passes on. And I believe this knife started life with Baxter's blades. And here we have Baxter's blades. Nice little sticker there from Baxter's. And he also has a beer mat, which is pretty cool. So this is the third knife channel that I'm aware of that has beer mats that they have for swag. This Baxter's Blades has them, J.O. Ventures has them, I have them. So, and I think beer mats are a pretty cool thing to have as swag. And he also has a really nice sticker, pretty cool sticker for sure. So this, I believe this is where it began. I do know that I received the knife from Terry's Knives and Man Stuff. And the knife is going to be leaving me and heading to Randy WSG. So if you want to see what other people have thought about the knife other than me, Baxter's Blades, Terry's Knives, Randy WSG pretty soon. I believe, like I mentioned, J.O. Ventures, I believe he has also reviewed it. And I also think Knife Delights has already shown this knife too. So there's quite a few reviews on this particular knife. And well, let me get started on it now. First of all, if you notice, it goes deep into there, which is really nice. When you think about it, it doesn't work quite as well for me, but it works well for other people. When the knife first showed up, it was in the sheath like so, or in the slip like so. And when it's in backwards, it does come out much easier because it doesn't go in nearly as deep. But I believe it is actually form fitted to go in like that. And when it is in like that, it actually has a little bit of resistance because I think the leather was actually molded to fit it. This pull is to actually pull the slip out of your pocket so you have something to grab onto to pull the slip out of your pocket, which is done with a lot of leather slips. And then this string or this leather strap helps to get it out of the leather slip. Some people are not going to need it. I needed it. Let's take a look at the knife. And a lot of people have already done this, so I will tell you my thoughts on it. First of all, you cannot fault the build quality of this knife. It is really well made. I think it's running on washers. I cannot say that 100% though. But you do see you got brass liners, wonderful red smooth bone. It looks like a nickel silver shield, and these are either brass or nickel silver pins. Kershaw bomb shield or flattened squirrel, whatever you want to call it. See the wonderful nickel silver bolsters up there. Looks like there might be a black liner right there. I don't know for certain, but that's what it looks like. I can feel a little bit of a transition there, but nothing dramatic. You can see the blade centering is almost spot on. There's no complaints there with it. Even with the leather strap in there, you can see that the blade is not going to hit the lanyard hole, and it is not. It's not possible to push down the blade, and that's because, well, modern building technique. If you see right there, it does have the stop pin going through there, which is catching, I believe, right into the little sharpening choil there. If not, it might be catching right on the bump there. Either way, it is preventing the blade from having any kind of blade wrap on the back spring. So you can drop that. You're going to have a nice snap, and that snap is the stop pin on the blade. And if you notice, you've got a little bit of a curve going up here. See that? Wonderful shape on the blade. A slight curve, a very slight incline going up. You got some jimping here. It's not extremely aggressive. And if you notice there, you do see some of the swedge on the point here. It's not an aggressive swedge either. You still have quite a bit of blade stock still going on there. You have a long pull on both sides, which I think is a really cool idea. So this is truly left or right hand opening. And there you have the wonderful shape of the blade here. It is D2 tool steel. As you can tell also, it is highly polished. Right there is the pattern number 4383 RB, RB for red bone. They also have one of these in micarta. And you can see the grind on the blade there. To me, that is very well done. Made in China. The cool thing about this knife, for me at least, is the size of it. This is like an in-between size for a Barlow. Also, the bolster is kind of an in-between size for a Barlow too, as far as I'm concerned. I would have liked to have seen that bolster come back to about here and no shield be on the knife. For me, this is closer to being a boy's knife than a Barlow, but I believe Kershaw refers to it as a Barlow, the Culpepper Barlow, and that's what most people have been calling it. The difference between a boy's knife and a Barlow is basically the size of the bolster. I think this one is really in between. Otherwise, if you want to call it a boy's knife, fine, but most people are going to call it a Barlow. And what I'm thinking about, though, is the in-betweenness of the size of the knife, because this is basically 4 1/8 inches, I believe, maybe 4 1/4. Let me grab my ruler. Now, I know a lot of people have already measured this, but and I don't doubt their accuracy in it. Yeah, it's right at 4 1/8 inches long, just over 4 inches long in the closed position. You got a wonderful blade here that is right at 3 1/4 inches, and then the cutting edge is right at 3 inches. So you've got a blade that technically it's legal in the UK, but technically you'll probably get arrested for it being over 3 inches if somebody wanted to be picky about it. Love that wide belly on there though. Notice how that belly gets wider on that blade. See how that is? Just really a good shape of a blade. It's just a really sexy looking knife. I have done some cutting with it. I did the old, paper cutting and everything, and this thing is a really good slicer. It's full flat grind going on it, and it just goes right through the paper like butter. It's a really well-made knife. Got the lanyard hole back there, which for me it was a little bit of a lifesaver. I would have had a much harder time getting the knife out of the sheath or the slip without the cord, so I will leave it on there when I send it on. But for me, this is just a beautiful knife. Let's compare in size. Here we have a Master Barlow or a Daddy Barlow, whichever way you want to call it. You can see the difference in size there. I'll also have some slides at the end so you can compare it that way too. But you can see the difference between a 5-inch Master Barlow or Granddaddy Barlow, whichever name you want to give it, and the Culpepper. And this is the Rough Rider saw cut bone one. And 440A versus D2 tool steel. So 4-inch blade versus a 3-inch blade. Now let me go grab a normal size Barlow. Okay, here we have a case Barlow. It's about 3 3/8 inches long, and you see the difference there. Much smaller size that you would have. This is definitely more pocket friendly, I guess, but to say this isn't pocket friendly would be a stretch also. But let's take a look at the difference in blade length here, and that's where the dramatic difference will also happen. Yeah, I get it. One of them is a spear point, and the other one is a clip, but you can see the difference in blade length going on there. Much shorter blade on your normal size or standard Barlow. And let's compare it to a Sheffield Barlow also, just so we can look at the difference in blade and a proper clip blade going on. See the difference in blades there. All in all, the Culpepper is kind of like a stretched out Sheffield Barlow to me, and a really well made one too. So I can see why people were talking about it. Now, I can honestly say that I really never thought about buying one of the Culpepper knives, the Kershaw knives. I'm not sure exactly why. I think it's mainly because I've always associated Kershaw with modern folders like the Leak. I know they've been around for a longer time than that, and I know they used to make quite a few slip joints, but they moved out of that area. So it's like, do I really want to go and grab a Kershaw slip joint, knowing full well that it's made in China and everything else? Is like, it just wasn't there. I had no desire to own one of these. I still don't know if I plan on buying one, but I have to admit now that if I don't buy one, it is purely personal bias or the fact that I just don't see a need for it in my collection. It is not a knife that I would probably be carrying all the time. And that's not because I don't think it's a really good idea of a knife, or that I think it's a bad knife for an EDC. Actually, I think it's a quite good knife for an EDC. It's like the perfect size. You've got a nice strong bolster up front. You've got the lanyard hole in the back, which is always a good thing in my opinion. And you've got a really useful clip blade going on. For an EDC, we're talking about a very elegant looking knife here. They also make it with a micarta handle for the people who want something that's going to be a little tougher to use or that has a little more survivability in the pocket, let's put it that way. We've got D2 tool steel, which is nothing to sneeze at, so it's a good steel. Like I said, it also came razor sharp right out of the box, so that's also good. And matter of fact, this has been around for a while. Quite a few other people have already had it, used it, cut things with it, and it is still sharp. This is still, as far as I can tell, the original edge. I could be wrong. Maybe someone who really knows how to sharpen a knife sharpened this. Maybe they stropped it or something before it hit the road. But I can tell you one thing, that this thing is razor sharp right now, and it cuts really well. Got a really good blade length going on for it. So everything about this knife says that this is a very pocket-friendly knife and really a good option for somebody looking for a single blade slip joint to throw in the pocket. The thing is I've got so many other single blade slip joints that I already throw in the pocket. I guess that's really the only thing that would stop me from buying this. But as a person who likes Barlows, that's the other really good draw for this knife, is that it's that in-between size, 3 3/8 inches, 5 inches, or 4 1/8 inches. You just don't see many Barlows in that size. If there's anything that's going to get me to buy the knife, it's probably that. The fact that it is that in-between size. It's hard not to say, wow, that's pretty cool. Even if I can't hold all three knives at the same time. That's really the coolest thing about this knife in my book, is just they picked a really good size. It's like, this knife's a little too small, this knife's a little too big. We need the mama bear knife, and this is kind of the mama bear knife, 4 inches long. That's really a good size. That, to me, is the biggest draw for the Culpepper. I saw this one, and it made me look to see what other ones they had, and then there's that Brandywine Stockman, and that looks pretty cool too. So because I ended up looking at this traveling knife and actually having it in my hand, there's a good chance I will not only get this one, but I might also pick up the Brandywine Stockman too. In any case, next up will be Randy WSG. So be on the lookout. You'll be seeing another person looking at the Culpepper by Kershaw within hopefully a couple weeks or so. In any case, stick around for a few slides of comparison between these knives, and I will talk to you again soon. I think I probably should have also mentioned the Rough Rider Reserve Barlow compared to the Culpepper, because the Culpepper can also come in a micarta. I'm not sure if the micarta costs over 30 bucks or not. The red bone one is in the $30 range. This goes for somewhere between $42 and $45 when it was available. From what I understand, it is out of stock now. At least it is at SMKW. I'm not sure if it's in other places or not. What we have within the lanyard hole, this one has a lanyard hole. This one has what's called a lanyard tube because there's a brass liner to it. So that's a little bit of a difference. So you have a chance that the bone might chip or the micarta might chip there. The lanyard tube protects it a little bit more. This has steel pins and a stainless satin finish on the bolster. It does have brass liners just like this one does. This one is mirror polished. Both feature a D2 tool steel blade. One with a half stop, one without a half stop. Both have swedging going on. Match striker pull, a straight pull. I like the straight pull better than the match strike pull. I will mention that many a times. This one comes with the cleaning cloth in the tin. You know, those are just little added extras. This one, it really is very well finished. This one is also very well finished. The difference is this one is $10 cheaper and an inch longer than the Rough Rider Reserve. Which is overall better? That is really up to the individual. I collect Rough Riders, so that's why I lean more towards the Rough Rider. I have that bias going on. But again, if you're looking for a 4-inch knife versus a 4-inch closed knife versus a 3 1/4, 3 3/8, something like that. Yeah, 3 3/8 inches closed. Then you're going to want the bigger knife. If you need something with a slightly smaller blade or something that's going to fit the pocket a little better, 3 3/8 inches might be what you're after. I don't know. But this one is going to cost $12 to $15 more. Which is better? Only time would really give you an honest appraisal on that, time and use, which one holds up to use better and everything else. Not here to try and sell you either one of them. I'm just giving you my opinion of them. And I like both of them. This one has the edge of being a little less expensive. This one might have a little bit better quality control going on with it, but considering I only have one of each, it's hard to even say about that. I do like the finish on this one a little bit better, but there is something about a mirror polish. So let's see what happens with Rough Rider Reserves. That's the other thing. These are made in a much more limited number than the Kershaws, so you're going to find more of these readily available than the Rough Rider Reserve. Any case, all of those are, different things that people will look at in a knife. I got a feeling a lot of people are looking at it and going, well, heck, I'm just going to grab this because, well, $15 is $15. And you know what? That's not a bad thing to think. Any case, with that said, I'll let you go. Let me take just a second to thank you once again for dropping by and spending a few minutes here at Knife Chats with Tobias. I really do appreciate it, and I do appreciate any comments that you leave. So please remember to give me that thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you'll know when the next episode is up and running. Thanks again for dropping by. Really do appreciate your time here.